Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot, we charge you a little. So naturally, when they announced they'd be raising their prices due to inflation, we decided to deflate our prices due to not hating you. That's right. We're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
Okay, guys, and welcome to this week's episode of Heavy Metal Tones with me, your podcast host, Tony Evans. See, I've already started a couple of seconds in and I can't even say my own name. I think I need a cup of tea. Anyway, this week's episode is basically set around the one subject of one of my favourite singers and his new album. That is Tony Martin, the ex-Black Sabbath frontman, and many other bands, of course, as well. Tony was born on the 19th of April 1957 in the UK. His full name is Anthony Philip Harford. He likes to be known as Tony Martin. Careful when you Google that, you don't get the lovely soulful voice of Tony Martin, he of the Frank Sinatra Rat Pack fame, because you will do, so get the right one. Anyway, he joined Sabbath in 1987. He is actually the second longest running vocalist outside of Ozzy for the band, which people I think forget. I think it's a really sad issue because he's actually, I mean, you'll get to hear why I love him anyway, but he joined in 87 to 91, then there was a gap, and then in 93 to 97. He's a multi-instrumentalist. He had a solo album out in 2005 called Scream, where he did the vocals, he played bass, played violin, drums, and additional guitar parts. That's a really clever man there. He joined a band it was the post Glenn Hughes era, and the band was going through a bit of a tumult. It was a bit of turmoil. They played South Africa, even though the label didn't want them to. It was during the apartheid, the United Artists apartheid, and it caused a bit of an issue. The drummer left, and Terry Chimes from the Clash joined for a little while, which is a really nice little side note there. But yeah, it caused a lot of problems. And what Tony did, he went on to record several albums with the band. He recorded, now I've got my list here. He did Eternal Idol. He did which reached the charts, 66 in the UK charts, and they moved to the IRS label, which it's the label that Stuart Copeland's father, Miles Copeland II, owned. A lot of bands played on that label that just disappeared, sadly. A lot of the music, it's one of the reasons why you can't get the IRS years easily. They're not downloadable, and they're not on any Spotify or streaming services. They haven't reissued the albums. It's not because of the quality of the albums. There's some label issues there, and it's just a shame because the albums released on that label, so TYR, Headless Cross, and I'll get back to in a second. Headless Cross, TYR, Dehumanizer, Cross Purposes, Forbidden, brilliant albums. Now, I think I'm rightly. I think Cross Purposes and Forbidden are not on the IRS label. I think just TYR and Headless Cross. I think Dehumanizer is on another label. That aside, the two albums he did with them, so his second and third, Headless Cross and TYR, are, I reckon, probably the best albums, non Ozzy Osbourne albums that the band ever made. Now, there's going to cause some big consternation. As I said before in other episodes, please don't attack me on it. I know there are big Dio fans there, and I love the Dio years, but I will always be a Tony Martin years fan, because this young man at 16 years old, his first ever gig was on the 19th of September in 1989 at Hammersmith Odeon, and it was Black Sabbath with Tony Martin on vocals, Tony Iommi on guitar, Neil Murray on bass, he of White Snake, and other bands, and Cozy Powell, of course. I'm not going to introduce Cozy Powell. The people that don't know who Cozy Powell are, do some research. One of the best drummers who ever lived. Brilliant drummer. Sadly missed. He was on the album and on the tour as well. And I got to see Brian May come on and do the encore, because Brian May co-wrote When Death Calls for the Headless Cross album, and also Geezer, who was going to join the band to record Headless Cross, pulled out at the last minute and joined Ozzy's band. He come on and did a encore with the band as well. So it was an absolutely amazing night. I got so sick, I headbanged so violently that I was in the toilet throwing up just before Brian May came on. And this little old man, this old guy in blue denim and patch jackets, he came up and he's patting me on the shoulders. I got my head in the sink, and he just turned to me and he goes, "It's the drugs, man, it's the drugs." And I couldn't turn around and say, "No, I think it's the chocolate M&Ms." but anyway, it probably was the chocolate M&Ms and the Coke. I mean, remember I was 16, and in the UK you can't drink till you're 18, and I looked 16 at 16. I did not look 18, so I wasn't drinking alcohol. So it would have been a mixture of excitement, anxiety, the music, the moment, and the wrong type of drink and food before the gig. That's my connection. And that's why I'll forever love Tony Martin as a singer and Black Sabbath as a band in general. When I went to buy the tickets, it was a second thought. I'd gone to get tickets to see Fish on his first solo tour, Vigil in the Wilderness of Mirrors, and at the Odeon. I'd earned like 50 quid that week, and I'd given like half of it to Mum for rent, and I had like 30 quid, 25 quid left, and I went and bought the tickets to see Fish, and I paid 15 quid for those tickets. And then I was turning away to leave, and on the poster on the wall had Headless Cross at September 19th, 1989. And I'd just bought the single that had come out. I absolutely loved it so much. I had it on cassette single, vinyl single, picture disc, and I loved it. And I'm picture this. I'm wearing a shiny new leather jacket. It's not worn in. I've got long hair down to my waist. I've got silver rings on each finger. I'm spotty. Well, I wasn't really spotty, but trying to grow bum fluff on my face. So anyway, I turned back round and paid the 10 quid, for that ticket. I had no money left for the week. When I got home and told my dad and asked him to lend me a fiver so I could get to work, he gave me an absolute hiding for spending all my money on gigs. And you know what? I've done it ever since, and I don't regret a minute of it. I haven't done that. I can't remember who the support act was. I'm sure that someone out there would know who was probably there, or I can research it. I thought I'd dreamt that Brian May and Geezer Butler had come on. I really did, until I read Tony Iommi's amazing biography, Iron Man, and there's a photograph of him in the middle on that stage, and it's that gig. And I thought, yep, I was there, and it sort of gave me a little bit of a kick up the bum. I thought, oh, amazing! I didn't dream it. I really didn't. So it was, those two albums are brilliant, Headless Cross and TYR. I have to say that I don't play Eternal Idol and The Humanizer that much. I love Cross Purposes and Forbidden, the latter two albums. I love them a lot. They're great albums, but the lyrical content and the feel of both Headless Cross and TYR are just that. but you've got to remember, it was 1989. There was not a lot of good metal around, or even good music around, really, to be fair. Whitesnake was doing well. There was, God, Aerosmith were riding high in the charts with Love in an Elevator, and, that sort of Poison and all that hair metal rubbish was pervasive everywhere. God, Bon Jovi was coming across as heavy metal. It's just what a joke. So when we were searching out good stuff, and it was there, of course, but when you're young and 16 and it is pre-internet, you've got to find what you think is going to work. You've got to find it. It's hard to find. You have to have friends. I had a friend, Mad Melvin, who I've spoke to before on the podcast. He had his fingers in all sorts of pies. So I got to listen to some really unusual stuff on that one. So you can see why I have a love for him. Please do, before I talk about his new album, when you have a chance, go and you can't actually, as I said, download TYR or Headless Cross. I don't like to say this, but you can YouTube them. I want the artist to get every penny he deserves, or they deserve. Sadly, that's not going to happen until they reissue it or can stream it somewhere. If you can find a copy, it is the gold. It's the holy grail. It's my holy grail. I left my copy in the UK of both TYR and Headless Cross. I don't have one, so as I said before, anyone that has a copy, please reach out and let me know if they want to sell it, or they want to give it to me, or copy it for me, or something. I just would love a copy of it. I really, really do. I said it's my holy grail of albums. Even the single, I don't mind what format. I really don't. Reach out to me at heavymetaltones@gmail.com. That's heavymetaltones@gmail.com, and let me know. Or just private message me on my Facebook page. That's Noobum and All Things Metal. That's Noobum and All Things Metal. Anyway, that's enough about the fantastic Tony and his history. If I've missed anything and you're listening, Tony, I'm sorry. It's just a potted history. I'm probably sure I've made a few mistakes there. I probably missed a few things. I know I have. Forgive me on that. These programs aren't a religiously researched program. I do research them, but it's mainly here and there so I can just free form the chat. If I do too much research, it'll become robotic and I'll find it boring. A little side note, sorry, Headless Cross did make it to 33 in the UK chart, so it did quite well, the album. The single did very well as well. I think it got into the top 50, which is big for them, particularly. For a band that was, with only one original band member, and a time when metal was really a dirty word. No one was listening to it. Even the greats of bands like Iron Maiden were struggling, and in what was the dirge of bloody grunge, and of course, the evil of R&B. Love R&B in certain contexts, but it just seemed to take over everything then. Everything. So, you couldn't listen to it because it wasn't radio friendly. And let's be honest, when has Black Sabbath really, or even Iron Maiden, or any of the great bands like that, ever been really truly radio friendly? They aren't. It's the people buy the records and they make their money because they love them and buy their albums and buy their singles, not because they heard them on the radio any particular reason. Not anymore. Early Maiden, possibly they're more of a single based band, but even then, not that much. I'm going to go and get myself a cup of tea and refresh my larynxes, and we'll come back on the B-side and we'll have a chat about Thorns, Tony Martin's latest album. So go and get yourself a drink, and I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
Hi guys, welcome to the middle of the program. We're about to turn over to side B, but I thought I'd just have a chat about COVID, what's happening with music, and what we should do. Now, a lot of you have bought tickets out there. A lot of you have been eager to see your bands live. I know that money is very tight, and so when the bands have cancelled, and I've got about 7 or 8 of them, I suppose the easiest thing to do is think, let's just get the refund and try and cope with life. If you can, and you've spent the money already and you know you spent it and it's gone, please, 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 please hold on to those tickets. Hold on to that, because we can, in theory, as non-creative, although we're all creative, but people that can do a 9 to 5 or have a job, can find work and can pay bills and can live. Musicians who rely on tour revenue and album revenue can't do that. So you've already bought the tickets. They've already put it into their bank account. Please, can we try and hold on to them if we can, so that when the bands when this stupid world gets back to normal and they reschedule. I mean, I've got one for Stephen Hackett. It's 3 years ago I bought the ticket. I'm still holding on to it, because for me, I spent the 150. It's already spent and gone. So let's just look at it that way and let those artists keep going, because if we don't do this, they're all going to go. It's already crippling the industry. It's already crippled the industry in a lot of ways, but it's not like cripple anymore. If we can afford to hold on to them, let's hold on to them, because eventually they will come back. And if they cancel completely, then you get your refund. If not, hold on to it. The only thing is trying to remember what you have, because I've got so many of them, I can't remember. And I'm sure I'm going to miss dates because I'm going to book things and they're going to then book it again. So, hey, that's the only downside. Hold on to them, please, guys. Keep music alive. Thanks for listening, and we'll chat, and I'll see you on the B-side in a minute. Hi, guys. Welcome back to side B. We've flipped the record over and we're now on side B. The record is part of the record that people often forget, don't they? We all talk about A sides, don't we? Everyone forgets the B side, but sometimes the B side's the best, and I think this is the best, because this is now going to chat about the new Tony Martin album, Thorns, released the 14th of January this year in 2022. So that's going to date this podcast if you're listening to it way in the future. It was released in Australia, one of the countries first, because we're this side of the world, and also Battle of Gods Productions, which it's on, is an Australian company, which is a bit of a win for us, I think. It's his first solo album since Scream in 2005, so quite a long way away. Now, Tony's been singing a long time, and one thing we're going to say right off the bat is his voice has not aged a bit. Some of the vocalists in our genre that we love tend to wane a little. I mean, I'm looking at you, Bruce. I love you, Bruce. Bruce Dickinson, that is. But we know that he can't reach those notes anymore. I mean, we also know that the fabulous, many of the fabulous vocalists that we love, like Rob Halford, also struggle slightly to get those notes. But Tony has not done that. It is the freshest sounding vocal I think I've heard in 10 years. Really, truly. It's almost like I walked out of the Hammersmith Odeon that September night, got home, put on the new album. That's sorry, banging on mic. That's what it sounds like to me. The vocal is dynamic. It is this. When you listen to Tony's vocal style on Headless Cross and TYR and all the other solo projects he's done, you'll hear he has a particular way of singing. So his way he reaches the high notes is very operatic. He's got a lot of air in those lungs, and he holds a note really strong. He's got a lot of technique and passion, and he is very you don't lose any of the intonation or the tonation of the words because he's trying to reach that really high note or that loud vocal. It seems to mean that in the register he's in the key that he sings in, no disrespect, Tony, at your age, the key that he sings in is unbelievable. Now, this might be due to the fact that he hasn't had a completely torrid, when I say torrid, wrong word, hard touring life. He records and plays live all the time, but he hasn't been album after album after album, and it hasn't wrecked his vocal cords. I think he's kept them beautifully well. And I mean, it also helps he's a multi-instrumentalist, so he sort of he knows where his register is. He knows where he can sing at what point. Fish from Marillion, his solo albums, that's another good point. You know, great voice early on, untrained, beautiful falsetto voice. He can't hold those notes anymore, but he could barely do them then, especially during the Fugazi album years. But he's accompanied by actually a really amazing cast on this album. He's got Danny Needham from Venom on drums, and that's wow, what a connection. I love Venom so much, but he's connected. It all comes around to connections, right? He's got a new name, Scott McClellan on guitar, who's a co-writer of the album. I believe he recorded this album all in one take, one day, which is amazing because it is like Tony Iommi's guitar, yet it's not. It has the depth and the tonality and the beauty of Tony's guitar, but in a different note. It's more modern. It has squealies, like, you know, pitch. It's got little pitch bends. It's got all sorts of things in there that you wouldn't get Tony doing. I think because of Tony's fingers, he probably can't do some of those the pinch harmonics. And if any they listen to me go, what's a pinch harmonic? Go and put on some Black Label Society or Aussie with Zach Wilde, and all you'll hear is him. It's every single second phrasing, it sounds like it's a pinch harmonic. A pinch harmonic, for those that are not sure, listening, going, Tony, what are you talking about? It's when you certain parts of the between the two pickups, if you've got double pickups, two humbuckers, when you strike the string and then follow through and hit it with your thumb, depending on where you're on the fretboard, and I believe, now this is from someone who's not very good at them, I believe it has to be I believe you have to hold the note in a certain way to get this sort of squeal note. It's like a pitch variant. I think it has to be a harmonic note, so maybe on the 12th and 24th. I think. Again, those guitarists out there, please don't write in and say what you're talking about. That's roughly what a pinch harmonic is. And there's those in there. And on bass, you've got Alice Cooper, Blue Oyster Cult, Rainbow, and many more in Greg Smith. So, you know, he's got a really good band around him. Some really experienced hands in the studio, along with the newbie, as said, in Scott. You would not know. Honestly, if you've ever listened to anything with any of the music by Stephen Wilson, you might know Guthrie Govan. Now, I'm not saying that Scott's anywhere like Guthrie Govan. Guthrie Govan is a genius, and he's almost uncomparable at the moment on guitar. But Guthrie played a lot of the stuff for Stephen in one take, and it takes a big set of balls and a lot of talent to be not go there and overlayer and copy this and cut that and pinch that and click that, and it takes a lot of effort. And I think it really comes across in the groove on this record. Now, the record is quite a long album, actually. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 tracks, which is the norm these days. You've got As the World Burns, which was a lead single, I believe, Black Widow Angel, Book of Shadows, Crying Wolf, Damned by You, No Shame at All, Nowhere to Fly, Passion Killer, Run Like the Devil, This Is Your Damnation, and the title track Thorns. They are all fantastic. I'm not going to break them all down individually. I'll pick a couple out. The title track has an amazing drum and bass piece that just... I mean, I sent it to a friend of mine who also is a big Tony Martin fan, and he came across really heavy metal like me through Tony. Well, I discovered metal before I went and saw Black Sabbath and Tony Martin, but I've sort of my love of live music. He sort of discovered it through the Headless Cross album, and I sent him a sneak peek when I got the album to review for Metal Ruse, which I did. If you're keen on reading that review, I'll put it in the description below. And he just said, wow, what a voice, what drum and bass. And that was the title track, When the World Burns. I'm not saying it's all perfect, because I didn't really like Passion Killer. I thought Passion Killer was a bit like Tony's version of Painkiller, but without the balls to the wall Judas Priest. I'm not saying it's a bad song. It's perfectly good. I just think, I can't give everything a plus. Sometimes you've got to look at the negatives, and it's not a negative. It's just not my favourite song on the album. I'm sure that Tony has songs he's not sure about. My third, then again, I love Book of Shadows. I mean, the stories that he's reading here are quite dark. Nothing's light and fluffy here. And you get that with Thorns. So Thorns is quite a tricky subject. He's brought in a vocalist, Pamela Moore, on it, and it's about a woman who's been badly abused in a relationship, who abuses her body herself and covers herself with scars. I think to make herself feel better. It's about self-abuse. It's a really tough subject. Could I broach that subject as an artist? Probably not. But then again, I've said this before about bands that talk about the Holocaust and do it in a way where it's not entertainment, it's information, and done in a way where it's not glorifying it. My wife and I were watching a documentary about the Beastie Boys the other day, which is on Apple TV. I highly recommend it. It's like it's like the two remaining members talking about the life in the band. And there's a song called Girls on that, which I had listened to on one of their albums, I think on License to Ill, which I'd listened to so many times. I'm a big Beastie Boys, not as big as my wife, but I'm a Beastie Boys fan. I didn't really know that the song was misogynistic and really not nice until they mentioned it, because I just would sing along to lyrics not thinking about it. So sometimes subjects are not played with or brought to the fore with reverence, but with entertainment values, and you just don't hear it and don't think about it. Well, with Thorns, a different subject completely. It's a tough subject, but they've both, or all four of them, really, 5 of them, have all brought together a story that they've covered it really well with reverence. You can get it now, the album, on CD, and I think it's coming out on vinyl. It was on Spotify for a few days and seems to be you can't seem to play it. I've asked the band what's going on, and the production company, they haven't replied. I think there's just an issue with Spotify and probably licenses or something like that. It'll all get fixed out. Often that happened with Stephen Wilson. You'd have albums on there like quite a few of his albums, like what's the one I love? Fear of a Blank Planet, brilliant album. That was on there, then disappeared, then come back, then disappeared, come back again. I don't know. It's a strange world. People have said to me, why are you persevering? Buy the artist the album. Yes, I've bought the album, as I said before to someone on Facebook the other day. I've bought the album. I'm just waiting. I wanted to use it to go on a run or to do stuff around the house. I don't own a CD. Well, I have a CD player, but I don't play CDs. So I need something to be able to transport it around, and that's my copy. The band still gets some money. I've bought the album. I'm not stealing it. So I can't wait for it to come onto Spotify. I haven't looked on Apple Music. It may be there. I don't really use Apple Music that much, or Amazon. I believe it's on Amazon Music, but again, I don't use that as a platform. So in summing up, Thorns, I reckon so far, it's early doors 2022, best album of 2022. I think it's going to be a tough one to beat. I think it's best heavy metal album in not in some strange, weird, wacky genre, just heavy metal / heavy rock. I think Tony's voice is unbeatable. I don't know if there's anyone out there at the moment, apart from Bruce and maybe, as I said, maybe Rob, maybe a couple that I may have missed, like Grimmet from Grim Reaper, that could match it. But I'd love to if you could reach out and give me some names, because for the time he's been in the industry and the amount he's sung and the albums he's worked on, yeah. Again, you know, I know that it's it's a bit of I don't know, a bit of nostalgia for me because it was my first gig, and so maybe you're saying, hey Tony, you just love it because it was your first gig and it's a great experience. Not necessarily. It could have been a terrible experience, couldn't it? I mean, to be honest, I could have gone and seen Poison as my first gig, and then, oh, God knows what might have happened. Or Motley Crue or something awful like that. You know, one of my regrets, side note, is that I never saw Motorhead live, and they came and played touring with Motley Crue, and they were second on the bill, and I didn't buy a fucking ticket, pardon my French, because I thought, fuck, I'm not buying to pay to see Motorhead. I'm sure they'll be out again. And they didn't, and Lemmy died. And I regret it. So, a side note, don't let yourself down. Get the tickets. As I said in the break, if you've got tickets and you just want to hold on to them, don't get the refunds, because you may never see them again if they come back. I've got a ticket to see Abath. Now, strangely, I bought a ticket for his last album tour. Because it's so delayed, he's got a new album out in March. He's probably going to tour that when he comes over. Who knows? Anyway, I'm going to review that when it comes out. I might talk about that in a few weeks' time. Summing up, get the album, listen to it, go on his Facebook page, chat to him. He's really amiable. I'm hoping to do an interview with him very soon for Metal Ruse, the website. Watch out for that. Please read my review below. That's in the link. Go and have a look around Metal Ruse. There's some brilliant album reviews on that website. I'm one of them. I'm the head of the reviewing team. There's some fantastic stuff being reviewed out there. Some unusual, some very straightforward, some very strange, some great styles. And some good interviews on there as well. And it's locally owned. It's an Australian website. The guy that ran it, Mike, he's a lovely guy. He works his bum off for it. I know he does. He doesn't make a lot out of it either. He also sells CDs, so you can buy stuff from his website. Go there if you want to buy product. He has it in small batches, so not many. It's some unusual stuff. You won't find it anywhere else. I think it's free posting after 5, so like $100, because it's $20 a CD. Flat rate. Please, if I've got that wrong, sorry, Mike. It was off the top of my head as I was finishing this podcast up. So, thanks for listening. If he tours out in Australia, go and see him. If you're around the world and want to see him, he's touring. Bloody hell, get a ticket. It won't cost much, and you'll get an amazing night. Get the album, support local artists, and get in touch with me. Let me know, as I said, what was your first gig? Do you have great memories of it? Have you seen Tony live? Have you seen Sabbath with Tony live? Just things like that. Anyway, also like and subscribe, please, as much as you can. I've got a lot of listeners out there now. I've got a lot in America, in San Jose and Boardman, and I reach out to them. I'd love you to reach out to me, guys. You seem to be very avid listeners of my show. I'd love to hear your story. It's so far away from where I am. It would be great. I've got listeners all over the world. Someone please reach out and say hello. Like I said, like and subscribe. It helps me get out more and get to a bigger audience. Let me know what you might want me to talk about. I'll talk about anything you want. If you send me an album, want me to chat about it, or a type of music, I'm happy to research and chat, give you my ideas. Anyway, I hope you had a great listen. I've enjoyed it. I'm going to go and get myself another cup of tea, or possibly even a gin and tonic. I think that might be the time of day. Stay safe, stay away from Corona, keep rocking, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye, guys.
Hi, I'm Danny Pellegrino from the Everything Iconic podcast. And who doesn't love a classic burger from McDonald's? That's right. McDonald's classic burgers are hotter, juicier, and tastier than ever. The patties are cooked to juicy perfection. I love the cheese perfectly melted on top. I love the Big Mac that has a special sauce in every bite. I love the pillowy, soft, golden bun. So in the words of the Hamburglar, which I believe means grab McDonald's best burgers ever before Hamburglar does at a McDonald's near you.